What goes into building a business that is new to the world? What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Fervent 4. Did you know that only 4% of businesses ever cross the annual $1 million revenue mark? I feel like there needs to be some crazy music there. Boom, boom, boom. I need to add that next time. Hello, I'm Zack Miller, author of Anomaly. With me today, I have my co-host Tim Ryan, lead man at StartWheel.org. Thank you so much for joining us. The Fervent 4 is a weekly show every Thursday at 11 a.m. dedicated to sharing insights into growing a world-class business, no matter the climate. Maya Holihan has decades of experience selling the wedding experience. But what happens when a dress is ready for a new life? Maya, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here with both of you.
Hey, Maya. Hi, Zack.
Maya, I think the first time you and I actually ever met was when I was doing my State of the Startup Community Address, and you were a finalist for, I think, the inaugural year of the Small Business Champion of the Year. Yeah. Is that correct?
It is, yeah, and I think it's the year that Bo Turner won.
Yeah, Bo Turner won, and if I remember, it was you and Bo going into the last weekend.
How was that decided? by
popularity contest? Yeah. That's the best way to do it. Vote often. Do it.
Marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was interesting. I mean, there are swings, right? And so it's I don't know. Maybe there's a better way to do something like that, but it was a way to engage people, and I thought it was fun. And I think it also, if you're selling something like that or providing an award like that, I think it's really about the community aspect of that. And so to get the community involved in that instead of 3 or 4 judges. And I've been on panels like that where I've judged stuff and I'm like, that person clearly is missing this thing and they're scoring this person in 5th place out of 5 people. Why? And so let the community dictate it, and they did. And so if I remember correctly, it was a handful of votes that
slim margin.
Slim margin. So I feel like I knew about you before. Had you not known about anything that I've been doing at that point?
I had heard of you. You had Hatch at that point, correct?
Yep.
So I had heard of you, and your name came up often in conversation. But especially when I was looking to raise money, when I was trying to raise capital to keep the business going, I think that's when you and I probably really got to know one another.
Gotcha. Okay, so when you know of someone, but you don't take it to that next step to get to know that person, introduce yourself. Why is there that delta there? Why is there that gap when people are oh, I know that person, but we don't, from a networking perspective, go out of the way to introduce each other? And I think it goes both ways, right? It just so happens that someone nominated you, I don't remember who, and we magically became, friends, acquaintances, networking partners, whatever. Why is there that gap when you know someone but people don't, or why have you known people and not kind of reached out to them in the past?
So I feel like I've been networking my entire life. I'm a big champion for networking and networking events. And I think that there's a couple of reasons why people don't make that initial connection. One is selfishness, honestly. Some people, if they don't think they're going to get anything back, they're not going to make the initial introduction. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that go into networking for the me, right? So what am I going to get out of it? And that's really not, networking is about giving and hoping that the more you give, at some point, something will come around. I think the other thing is sort of fear of rejection. So if I make this cold introduction between these 2 people and the person I'm introducing doesn't respond to the person I want them to connect with, am I fracturing my connection with that person, right? Am I devaluing my contact if I'm putting them in front of somebody that they don't want to connect with, or, and some people are just more giving than others.
That devaluing thing is interesting, right? So I give very few introductions for that reason, because I feel, and people think it's ridiculous, but I think it's very important who I introduce to people instead of just being the blabbermouth of introductions. Which some people would be well, they would, validate themselves up or down the wrong way, or the right way if it was going to work. But to me, it's well, if I'm introducing someone and I haven't actually done the due diligence on them, and by introducing them, I'm kind of saying, hey, this person is credible. You can do anything with them. So if I just openly do that, I think that's a mistake. And I think a lot of people do that. And they're like, well, I don't know that person.
Right.
And that's ridiculous. So I'm glad you do that.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, especially now as I started writing checks from an investment standpoint, it's like, man, I've been building my reputation for 9 years now.
Right.
And to me, my reputation and the network that I have built is worth a whole lot more than the amount of money that I may write for a check.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I mean, they say your network is your net worth, right? And so you have to protect it. And I think that there's, so if you're not sure about the connection, it's always okay to go to the person that is your contact and say, hey, I want to introduce you to this person. This is what they're looking for. This is what they're about. Do you mind? As opposed to just like making this cold blanket email introduction to two people and then they're both sort of left.
From someone that you met 19 years ago.
That's exactly right. So it is. I mean, I think you have to just be super aware, right, of how that connection is going to be made.
I did that recently, and Tim was actually one of the people that I introduced to, and I actually called him multiple times to say, this is the scenario. I want to make sure it's okay. Here it is. And there was like 3 or 4 other people that I was introducing this person to, and I was like, specifically, this is what I think could be the connection. And I don't think people go above and beyond. So then when you're ready for that person to actually get that, that email introduction, phone call, whatever, you know what it is, instead of just being like, I'm just going to twiddle my thumbs and whatever. I think that's very important.
Yeah, and to take that one step further, I always and I tell people this all the time, I will give you a 3 or 4 sentence paragraph to you when you make that introduction to specifically dictate how I want to be introduced. Because no one knows you better than yourself, and the other person is going to botch it.
That's perfect. That's great. I mean, talk about a nugget of wisdom right there. That's really, I've never even thought of doing that. I've had other people say, do you mind if I write a couple sentences about you? Sure. But to actually provide it to them, you're doing it here, include this in the email. I think that's.
Well, then you're playing the game of telephone.
Right.
If not, right. And that game of telephone, by the time you get to the 17th person, you said hello and they said goodbye. And it's like, what? And so I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting. So I always thought that, because I thought you guys were besties for a while. I didn't realize that from the state of the startup was the beginning stages.
Well, I mean,
we walk very similar paths because I think, we have very similar interests. And then you wrote a book and then I wrote a book. And then, we both sort of had highs and lows and have pivoted and made changes. And so I'm like the female version of Zack. There's your book. Oh, I don't have my book next to me. Anyway,
come on.
I know. Look at rookie mistake right there.
No, it's fine. No, I mean, I think it was 6 years ago, probably. So actually, I think we did the belt in 16, maybe. So that would have been 5 years ago.
It was.
I guess I don't know.
It was either late 2015 or early 2016.
You stuck at your home office, socially distanced coffee shop, or your fancy all bricked out corner office, wondering why no one can see your business and sales are all over the place? Sounds like you need a pro. That's why I developed the Anomaly Academy. Insert clever copy here. Oh, I guess I was supposed to put something else there. Oops. You can grab access to the Anomaly Academy now at zackmillersays.com/Anomaly Academy.